following is a CUNY TV special presentation.
Hello, I'm Doug Muzzio. This is the third of a 5-part City Talk series on immigration, the paramount domestic issue facing the United States today, and the debate around which tells us as much about who we are as a nation and who we want to be. We've already talked about citizenship and the law, domestic violence. Today's subject, family immigration, will be followed by conversations on education and federal and state legislation. These shows will run from April 30th through May 4th, and they coincide with the 5th annual Daily News CUNY Citizenship Now call-in. Joining me as co-host, guest, and commentator for this series is Alan Wernick, a professor of law at Baruch College and chair of CUNY's Citizenship and Immigration Project. His column, Immigration Advice, appears in the Daily News twice a week. Alan is also the author of U.S. Immigration and Citizenship, Your Complete Guide. It's in its 4th edition. Our first guest is Midori Hills, the directing attorney of the CUNY Citizenship and Immigration Project. We'll then talk with Enzo Soderini, a paralegal at the project, and with Leonardo and Cianin Villajas about permanent residence through family reunification. Welcome back, Alan and Midori.
Thank you very much. First, I want to thank the Daily News and CUNY for sponsoring this series, and to remind our viewers that at the bottom of the screen, they can get information about both the CUNY website, which regularly has information about immigration and citizenship law, but also call in to the phone numbers on the bottom of your screen and ask us questions, because we will have counselors and attorneys who are experts in immigration law available to speak to you directly about your immigration problems. Welcome, Midori.
Thank you.
Midori, could you start by telling us a little bit about the Citizenship and Immigration Project, how you got involved in it, how you ended up working there, and what does it do exactly?
Well, the Citizenship and Immigration Project is a CUNY-wide project that's 10 years old this year. And one of the main areas of the project is we have six campus immigration centers, which are basically small legal clinics that are on different campuses, where there's an attorney and a paralegal on staff to help faculty, students, staff, and the immigrant community surrounding the campus to come in on pretty much any immigration issue that there is. We're also able to help help our clients and participants fill out whatever forms are necessary in order to become citizens, in order to become permanent residents, and to sponsor their family members, whether the family members are here or abroad.
And it's all free, right?
Yeah.
Even the photographs are free.
Right.
I'm very proud, by the way, as a chair of the project, I'm very proud of the fact that the university makes the kind of contribution we're able to even do the photographs for free.
It really is an impressive project, and I don't think that there's another project like this in the country where a university is so supportive of their immigrant students and faculty and staff.
How do you reach out to the community? I understand the university community, but the general population, the immigrant community.
Well, a large part of what we do is we have events with different community-based organizations and elected officials, where we'll actually take what we do in the office on the road and set up a site at a school or a church or a recreation center or whatever it is, and we'll provide the services directly in the communities where the immigrants live. And so they can come in on a Saturday or on an evening during the week and have the same service that they would get if they came into our office, but right where they live.
Excellent.
And also it's really word of mouth, right? And
Right.
people come in and they tell their friends. So tell us, how did you get involved in this? How did you end up working for the City University?
Actually, I am a CUNY grad. I went to the law school at
Great.
CUNY, and I was able to coordinate some citizenship events there as a student. And then I actually started by participating in the call-in, which is happening right now, where I was working at a religious organization doing immigration there. And so I got involved in the call-in. I volunteered a couple of days there, met Alan and
we recruited
the rest
you.
of the staff. And I said, well, this is where my next job is.
That's great. That's great. It's terrific. So tell us a little bit about how does family immigration work? Or how do people get their green cards based on family relationships in the United States?
Well, basically, all permanent residents have to go through at least a two-step process. The first step is that they need to be sponsored by someone who's usually a family member. It could be an employer, but the work that we do in our offices is usually a family member. So it would be a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident who files a petition on behalf of their family member. So it could be a spouse, parent, a child. And then after, I don't know how in depth that we should go about it, but
tell us a little bit about the, just sort of outline the different categories.
Right.
Understand that. Could you explain to us, as part of when you continue through the categories, why is it that some people are able to get permanent residence relatively quickly, and why some people have to wait 15, 20 years?
Well, there's a quota system in place, and so there are only a certain number of permanent residence cards, green cards, issued every year, and certain family categories. And as more people apply into those categories than there are visas available, it creates a backlog. And so the shortest line is actually for people who are immediate relatives of U.S. citizens. And so that would be the spouse, parent, or minor child of a U.S. citizen. There's no limit to the number of green cards in that category. And so if you're the immediate relative of a U.S. citizen, you just have to actually get through the processing time. But as the relationships get further away, and also if the relationship is not to a U.S. citizen but to a permanent resident, then then you fall into this quota system. So, for example, if you're married to a permanent resident, if you're married to a green card holder, and that green card holder files a petition for you, you'll probably end up waiting 5 or 6 years. And that's the same if the permanent resident files for their minor children.
Another thing I wanted you to address, most people would think that if you marry a U.S. citizen, you just get a green card.
Right.
Well, it's as simple as that. But I know it's not as simple as that.
That is actually far from the truth.
And I know that, in fact, even some people who marry U.S. citizens can't ever get a green card. Can you explain who can get the green card and who can't?
Well, once you have that first step taken care of, which is a family relationship in most cases, the second step is whether or not someone is eligible to apply for their permanent residence. And when you get to that part, there's actually 2 different processes that a person can go through. If a person's in the United States and eligible, they can apply to adjust their status from whatever it is to permanent residence here without leaving the country. But in order
if they are currently undocumented?
Well, that's where the problem comes in. And so in order to be eligible to apply for this adjustment of your status, you have to meet certain eligibility criteria. And so the notion that marrying a U.S. citizen cures all evils is actually wrong, because for people who are here, for people who enter the country without permission, there's no family member that's going to be able to save that. So even if you're married to a U.S. citizen, if you came into the country without permission, you're not eligible to apply for your green card here. The other process that you could go through is people also have the option of going home to back to their countries and applying at the U.S. Embassy at home. But there's a different rule, there's a different law that it's extremely harsh that prevents most people from being able to do that. And basically what that is that if a person has been in this country without permission for certain periods of time, if they're here without permission for more than a year, the first time they set foot outside of the United States, they're barred from coming back in for 10 years. And that's regardless of their...
So they marry a U.S. citizen, they have 3 U.S. citizen children, they can't get their green card unless they're willing to go home and stay for 10 years.
And if they go home, they might, they may get
be able
stuck.
To come back,
they
but
may be
not
stuck
be able
outside of
to.
the country for 10 years.
So they stay here.
Of
most
course.
people do, right?
And
why that provision? It seems eminently illogical. What is the presumed logic?
I think, well, I can't speak for the people who wrote the law.
Right.
My guess is that they thought that it would have a deterrent effect on people from coming in.
In the first place.
Right.
But it didn't.
Obviously.
Yeah. That's why we have, 12 million people here who are undocumented in the United States. One of the reasons is people do qualify for residence, but they can't get their, they have the family relationship, but they can't actually get their permanent residence.
And one of the things is, I think people feel, especially people who are not particularly friendly to immigrants and immigration issues, feel, well, the immigrant doesn't have the same rights, or shouldn't have the same rights accorded to them. But these are people who have relatives, immediate relatives, who are U.S. citizens or permanent residents, and those children, the spouse of that person who's a U.S. citizen born in the country, is suffering because they can't get appropriate paperwork for their spouse. So employment opportunities, educational opportunities, all those kind of things are much harder for that foreign national.
At our centers, we do a lot of marriage cases, though, right?
Oh yeah, we do. And in fact, the distinction, the people who are eligible to apply for the adjustment of status in the United States, you're not eligible to do it if you entered the country without permission, but if you came in with a visa and you overstayed it, then you would be able to apply for your adjustment of status anyway.
So even if you came in legally, but you're undocumented now, or you worked without permission, you're still
you
okay.
Would still be
You'll
able
be forgiven,
to, if
you entered legally in the first place.
If
you're an immediate relative
of a U.S. citizen.
Like if you marry a citizen.
Right. So a lot. So well, I guess I don't know the numbers, but many folks come in with a visitor visa, and they'll, it could be several years ago, and then they decide, oh, they like it here, and so they're going to try to stay and end up working here for several years, meeting a U.S. citizen, falling in love, and if they get married, they're eligible to adjust their status here without leaving the country.
But the bottom line in all of this, particularly for someone who, like me, who is really non-expert in any of this, it's extraordinarily complicated. Extraordinarily complicated.
It can be.
I mean, and I am presumably an English speaker with some analytical skills, and to go through what is required and the various requirements is awe-inspiring.
Yeah. Well, they do say that immigration law is probably second only to tax law as far as how complicated it is and how nuanced it is.
But our centers were able to help people, right?
Oh, sure. I mean, that's...
How do we do that? I mean, who are the people at the centers? Who staffs these centers?
Well, each of the centers is staffed with a full-time attorney, an immigration law attorney, and paralegals who are all have at least a couple of years' experience. So if you combine it, it's decades of experience in immigration law, and we're constantly providing opportunities for trainings for them. They have opportunities to practice their craft every day, and so they're able to keep updated on the law as it changes, which it changes all the time, and to provide that information to the community that comes in.
And they have a great supervisor, right?
Yes,
That's
they
you.
do.
Thank you. Thank you, Midori. Thank you, Alan. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Matthew Goldstein, the Chancellor of the City University of New York. Look who's teaching at CUNY. Michio Kaku, string field theorist and international authority on theoretical physics. John Corleano, Academy Award and Pulitzer Prize winner in music. David Nassau, winner, Bancroft Prize for Best Biography. Jill Barganetti, Presidential Early Career Award for Scientists and Engineers. Gregory Rabassa, recipient the National Medal of Arts in 2006 from President Bush. Elizabeth Nunez, winner, American Book Award. Godfrey Gumbs, American Physical Society Fellow and member, New York Academy of Sciences. World-class talent, award-winning scholars, CUNY is their classroom, CUNY is your university.
Welcome back to the third of a five-part City Talk series on immigration. Our guests are Enzo Soderini, a paralegal at the Citizenship and Immigration Project, and Leonardo and Sionin Villegas, who were assisted by the project. Welcome, all of you. And Alan.
Thank you. Welcome, welcome. So Enzo, start by telling us a little bit about where you work and what kind of work you do, and how did you end up working at the Citizenship and Immigration Project?
Well, I completed my master program in international relations at City College, a great environment, and the ideal school for me, because there are so many students from all around the world, so I felt quite comfortable. And soon I finished the master program. I noticed this interesting project on immigration, and I met a few people, and they offered me this position to assist many migrants and students. Because I did this before in my life.
Talk briefly about your life.
Well, I am a migrant myself. I'm Italian. I migrated to Australia first time in late '70. I went just there before the recent, because I was a football player, a soccer player. And in Australia I met the reality, the migration, the old issue that relate to immigration. And I really said to myself, I need to do something about migrant workers here. And I was involved in the Carlo Levi Foundation. Carlo Levi is an Italian writer that was the founder of Italian Migrant Works Organization, which I worked for many years in Australia, where I was also a teacher, a school teacher. And I worked as a voluntary for 7 years. And then I moved to England to continue working in the same area. And then they asked me to come in the United States. I said yes, straight away, After 8 years in Australia as the general manager of the Italian Confederation of Labor, Inc. CGL, I decided to stay in the United States because I'm married with 2 children. Both of them are in school. One, she's 13 years old, Olivia, and a son that is in California, finished his master.
Okay.
And my wife
great.
worked.
That's terrific. And yes? And so what do you do at the center? What kind of work do you do?
Well, I'm a paralegal, and what I do, I welcome to all people visit our office and assist them and guide them in the process to achieve all the right documentation to become integrated in U.S. society and legalized all the process. And we follow from the first day until they complete the process.
That's great. And you have some successful clients here with you.
Yes, I'm proud to have met 2 nice human beings.
Very good. And Janine and Leonardo, welcome. So how did you find out about the Citizenship and Immigration Project at City College?
Well, I have a friend at work that recommended the project to us. We told them our situation, that we were in love, we were getting married, and we were nervous about what to do afterwards.
And you're a U.S. citizen, right?
Yes, I'm a U.S. citizen. I was born here.
In Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn.
Come on. Come on.
And so why didn't you go to, why didn't you just go to a private lawyer?
Well, money first of all, and we kept getting different advice. Some people were telling us to go to lawyers. We were very intimidated by the whole process, so we were contemplating that, but then other people that have gone through the process told us, well, you're doing everything right,
And we look in the users.com, the website, and it was like, we saw that and it was like pretty easy to do it, but with advice.
With
So
good
you
advice.
needed some good advice, right?
Definitely,
Yes.
yeah. And then luckily, a friend told us about the project, and so we said, let's try it out. And
Tell us how you met and sort of your relationship and how you came to the project and what the project did.
so, how we met?
You met.
We met.
You met. You too.
I went to Colombia to visit some friends about 5.5 years ago now. And he was good friends with my friends, and I spent 10 days there, and in those 10 days we became really close.
Yeah.
Just right away we clicked. So we maintained the friendship. I went back in 2004 for work. I happened to go back, and he told me that he
I
had...
confessed my
He
love.
confessed his
All
love.
right.
Very good.
That's great.
Yeah, and then a year later, I visited him again. He decided to move here, and he moved here in August.
Yeah,
This
that
past
is-
August. We got married in September.
And go ahead. So I'm sorry.
Yes. How come you came to City College? For
So
I came here in August, and I was worried about. We were worried about my legal situation here because I had a tourist visa. So I had like 6 months for the permission to be here, and we decide like, okay, what is the best way to have a legal status here in the
So
country?
you decided you wanted to stay.
Yeah.
You got here, you came as a visitor,
Yeah,
you
because-
decided you wanted to stay, and but you needed some help in trying to figure it
Yeah,
out.
because
Yeah.
it's like we needed that chance, like to be together, to stay together. So it was like, okay, if we want to being together, we have to make something to make it legal, and don't have any problem here. So we just find out all the process in the uses that go.
Do you remember
and
when
after
you came to see us first time? Do you remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
When?
It was in October, I think, or November. No,
No.
I think October.
October.
Yeah.
Yes. It was
And
a month.
what is it like? When you walk in and what confronted you?
Well, we didn't know what to expect, and even though
Yeah.
I'm a citizen, I was very intimidated by the whole process. And even if you go to the government website, everything's there, but it's still confusing. So we went and met Enzo, and it was funny because the person that recommended the project, Enzo's name was on the business card. But we just called, made an appointment, and it happened to be with Enzo. So he was very welcoming, like, just made us feel really comfortable right away, and was so helpful. Like, we went back various times. There's so many applications you have to fill out. He looked through every single line to make sure everything was correct, that we had all the copies we needed.
We get in confidence like so quickly. It's like
Yeah.
It was so good.
So you
felt
felt like
very
you could make it
comfortable.
through the process, and then so you eventually went through it. That's great, Enzo. I know Enzo's work. I know it's outstanding. So and also Enzo's a professor, a teacher, and so I know that helps.
College
him.
of New Rochelle.
College of New Rochelle, and I know that being a teacher helps you be able to explain things to people because you get that practice in the classroom. But so you filed the papers. Enzo helped you prepare them, and I of course know how the procedure works because I'm involved with the project. I know the papers are reviewed by an attorney, and then you submitted the papers on your own, right? And then you eventually got called for an interview. And so then what happened after you got called for the interview? That's like near the end of the process. You must have been nervous again. I mean, I would have been nervous if I were
Yes.
The
in your situation.
pre-interview, no, we did a pre-interview.
Yes, that's what was great about it, because we didn't know how it was going to work the first day we showed up, and he told us, I'm going to be with you until you have everything
Yes.
you need. And it was great because we went for the pre-interview. He told us what to take, what to expect, and that made us feel a lot
Yeah.
more
So it's the
comfortable and
preparation that
prepared.
eased your minds and allowed you to do.
Exactly.
What's the nature of the interview process? What do you have to go through to get out, or to get in one sense?
To get into...
To finish the process, what is the actual interview process that you have to go through?
Well, I think we actually got lucky with the person that we got. It was at first very intimidating, and I
Yeah.
think right away
It was-
she asked us the basic questions, and I guess she just could tell that we were really in love and that we had everything we needed and we did everything correct.
It is very important that at the interview, they have all the accurate and properly documentation which are required. So what we do, we prepare all a package of forms and documents attached to each form for the client. They review. We have also a copy, and of course the original documentation has been sent to USCIS. So therefore there are three parts involved in this process, but the three parts are interrelated. We have a communication. So it's the client, in this case, is not a foreigner. It's part of a process.
Mm-hmm.
So we educate, we exchange feeling, not just a bureaucratic approach, but the feelings, what you expect at the
It's sort of
interview.
it's empowering, we say,
Yes,
right? Sometimes
exactly.
in a project because you
We
make sure that the
engage,
client understands.
We
Right.
engage the client. So that was bring at the interview with a more security, confidence.
And you had that confidence,
Yes,
right?
definitely.
That's great.
Definitely.
And it went smoothly. And what happened at the end? I mean, they said, oh, great, you're going to become a permanent resident. Did they stamp any papers? They give you anything?
Yeah, the passport, basically.
They stamped the passport?
Yeah, stamped the and it was like, give me your passport, please. And I was like, why?
Uh-oh, they're sending you home right now.
Reach to the port, you know, the fear.
And she said, no, it's because we're going to stamp it, and you can tomorrow, if you have an emergency in your country, you can go out and get in without a problem.
That's terrific. You know, it's important that one thing that was fortunate. I mean, it is fortunate that you prepared them so well, Enzo, and that you were able to. What we do in the project is we review to make sure that that's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
they're going to have a successful outcome.
Yes.
It's not common, but it does happen sometimes that they take your passport and they call a couple big guys out of the back room or big gals, and people do. It's very, very rare. But it's important that I just want to make the point that it's important that people do see an attorney or a paralegal who has expertise supervised by an attorney, as you are.
Certainly.
Just to make sure that everything is okay. And there are, as is obvious, there are these free services in the City University, and so there's nobody that needs to go without some kind of legal representation and advice. So I think you bring an important lesson. I'm glad things worked out so well for you. It's a terrific story.
And it's my pleasure to talk to you, Enzo, and good luck with your marriage and your relationship. Thank you, Alan. Please join us tomorrow for part 4 of this 5-part City Talk series on immigration. Alan and I will be talking about immigrants and the schools. Our guests will be Kathleen Waldron, president of Baruch College, Maria Santos, senior instructional manager of the Office of English Language Learners at the New York City Department of Education, and Azadeh Khalili, deputy commissioner at the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs.